And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. Hope everybody's doing well today. As you can see, there's some stuff moved around behind me. That's because I moved the K1C over here onto the table to do a couple of mods to it and then to start printing some things. So I'm going to say welcome to my scatterbrain now for Rocky Mountain. It's happening. Sorry about that. Right now I need to try and open up a file. But yeah, welcome on in, everybody. How's it going? Von Death, Von Deathheart, Chewy, Shrimp Father. Hey Waters, how's it going? Waters, you gonna be in the store tomorrow? Because I'm probably gonna be swinging by there. I'm gonna go into the office at least for a little bit. I may take off around noonish and head back home, or I might be there all day. Who the hell knows anymore? Stopping by the shop right now. Okay, well there you go. What you doing over at the shop? Ooh, did you get your Big Tree Tech order in? You're not full time until next week? Gotcha. Talking about Echovate? Yes, we are. Gotta wait till you get there so you can throw your hat at it, eh? You're unpacking the Big Tree Tech order? Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool. So yeah, let's start off. Like I said, I'm a little scatterbrained. You're going to deal with that between now and Rocky Mountain RMRRF Festival. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that I got in recently. I did go ahead and order the Hodo screwdriver. Some of you may know that I've got the Hodo vacuum cleaner, or little like handheld USB-C rechargeable vacuum. It's great for the printers and stuff. Well, this is the larger Hodo, and I think I might have ordered the smaller one. I ordered a bunch of tools after the first maker meetup. I think I decided, okay, I need a set of stuff that's here and a set of stuff that's just packed to go, whether that's to the maker meetups or the RMRRF festivals or what have you. It's basically a go bag. So I went ahead and got a bunch of tools that are on order that should be here tomorrow. But I saw this in use by Fader over at 3D Print SOS on YouTube, which is exactly where I saw the Hodo rechargeable vacuum, which is really good at both blowing things out from the bottom of your printer and also vacuuming out the bottom of your printer. So this is going to be here in the shop toolkit. Other things that came in recently, and by recently I mean today, I got a pair of these in. Right? What did I just knock over? Oi. Stop knocking things over. So I got a pair of these little cases in, right? Really cool little cases. And these are Kraken motors by Umbrello, aka Devil Designs. So come on, there we go. These are Devil Design and LDO got together and they made the Kraken motors. So these motors are interesting. One, they're kind of beefy, right? Nice long shafts. This is the 5mm size. They do have these in completely round like this or D-cut. And they also have these, I think, in 8mm shaft and even longer. But yeah, these are the Kraken motors. And you'll see that there's two different types of wires. You've got the standard 4-pin for the motor. They actually have thermistors built into them. So these are motors that I got from West 3D. They sponsored them, not 100%, but they did make me a deal on them. And these are going to go in the rebuild of the 0G Mercury 1, which will be the next major printer rebuild that we do. A couple of the other printer projects, of course, will be like the one that you saw that came in down at Echovate. That was a what appears to be an ANET A8 or similar, maybe even an early version of it. And they basically said, free to a good home. And I said, well, I'm not sure if it's a good home, but bring them down here. They brought them down here. Mrs. Dragon said, don't bring it to the house. And Beverly, the owner of Echovate, said, I don't want it left here either. It's down there still. I'm going to work on it there during the maker days, or maybe just when I'm hanging out down at the shop. Hey, Waters, don't kill yourself. I got Winnie covered. No, Eagle, we're not. I'm losing my mind. That's kind of what this cluster is here. And I say that nicely. I'm just working on the projects and trying to get everything finished and finalized. Just right before stream, I was out cutting the axle. So you'll see that there's a couple of flats on this end and one on this end. The two at the very end are flats for the wheels themselves, and then this will be for the large drive hub. And this is also, so that's like a factory cut in there, right? Got a nice little beveled edge. Yeah, mine's a little bit more of a bevel, but not bad. So just take a linear rod and cut it down to length, and boom, you're done. You've got an axle. Yeah, to-go bag is really nice. Then you don't have to worry. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So like, we were scrambling around trying to help Von Deathheart with his, rebranding his Artillery X1, and it's like, oh crud, we need JST connectors. And Evil Diesel had JST connectors, but they were PH, not XH. We needed an XH. So luckily, Clover was on his way over to the store and brought some for us. But I'm like, I just want to have like a set of everything and a little to-go kit that goes with us everywhere we go. So that'll be set up. But what you're kind of seeing here, we printed this. This is a side mount spool holder. This is one of the files that's on the USB stick that comes with the printer. And the only downside is it's printed for PLA. So this is PLA sitting right next to the side panel. Now the good thing is this is right here. These two screws are actually mounting into the mounts for the auxiliary cooling fan. So it's going to be somewhat sturdy, and with that cooling fan there, hopefully it's not getting really hot here. But I might reprint this. The problem is I can't find this exact file. I'm going to have to try and see if I can find it on Creality Cloud, as much as I don't like going out there. But if I can find it, I'll reprint it in the black PETG. That way the feet stand out still, but you'll see we've got our top hat on, and I'm printing PETG right now. That's why the vents are open, but it's just boom, close them, open them. Our filament runout sensor is normally mounted in the back. This allows you to mount the filament runout sensor right in this back corner, and it pops out right here. You do have to cut your PTFE tube a little bit shorter, but it works, right? Well, this isn't glass, this is acrylic. But my first thought was I wanted to run this out of the IBOS so that I can keep it heated and keep it dried. I mean, it is, what I'm running here is a 3 kilo spool of Polymaker PETG with recycled 8% carbon fiber. And what that means is it's not used carbon fiber, it's carbon fiber that's recycled from the manufacturing process. So it's technically not virgin per se, but it's leftovers from the process, right? And this thing is great. However, it wasn't turning as easily as it's turning right here on the IBUS because it has rubber rollers, and it was really tugging at it with a full 3 kilo weight on it. So I was like, well, we'll see how it goes. Well, we see how it goes. I mean, this is just because this was the side down on the print surface and I pulled it a little bit fast, but it's printing beautifully. And you'll see I do have some heat sets in here already. I'm trying to redo some things because I'm basically starting from scratch. Rather than having a body ready to go, I'm reprinting the body on the fly so that we can build our drag racer. So the printer is going to be sitting up here because this is the easiest way to mount. Where are you going? The camera got possessed. I don't know what's up there. Get back over here. Come here. Keep coming. That's it. Keep coming. There we go. Now stay. Like, stop. No tracking. Stop all tracking. Okay. So yeah, we've got some stuff together. We're printing the back part right now. I started putting the front parts together. And if I remember right, when I go to put the servo and stuff on and do the front linkage, I think I have to have the top done. But let me show you what we're working on. How do I get this? Nope, not that. How do I get the... There we go. So we're going to be working on building one of these death racers. And there's fat tires, thin tires. I prefer the fat tires. I think they look appropriate on a drag racer. But that's just me. Hey, Beard Printer, how's it going? Hey, Pez Lives, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. Yes, and it is actually Tuesday, right? So once again, we're reprinting these parts. And once again, you know, we get some scuff off the bottom. There's nothing on the plate. This is just, I could probably heat this up and get these to go away. I'm just not that concerned about it. But this is PETG carbon fiber, Fiberon from Polymaker. So this is going to be pretty big or pretty robust piece here. And what we're looking at right here is this front edge piece here. And looking at this, I will have to have this front body cover on when I go to put this wishbone piece in. Otherwise, I'll have to take the whole steering system back off to put the wheels back on. So I think what I'm going to work on doing a little bit of stuff is I need to go through and get some more heat sets in there. This one here might be a little bit hard because I used some black ones, but I've got 3mm heat sets in here, and then we'll need to add some 4mm heat sets. And this is going to allow us to mount our wheel hubs to the flange bearings for the 8mm rods that we have here. But we've got our, I think this is the inner and outer wheel hubs. So this is going to make our wheel hubs. So there's the size of your wheels. Well, there's one that just went flying. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss. So we've got this working on. Tread's still working. You're scared to look into your freezer. Uh-oh, why are you scared to look in your freezer, Liz? Are you storing somebody in there? Basically, we're going to see what I can put together and what I have to wait on. We've got the front wheel hubs and stuff here that we'll work on. I'm going to try and put some things together. That's why I'm printing the actual rear. I've got 1, 2, 3 sections. The cage section I haven't printed yet because it's like 4.5 hours. What's printing right now is the rear section back here that will have the that will hold the motor. And this is the part that's printing right here, is like this part back. So we'll be able to mount the motor, mount the upright, stuff like that. The wheels, get rid of hide that. Here's kind of our hubs. I'm going to see if we can't get our hubs and stuff put together while we're waiting. We're not doing skinnies, so we'll get rid of the skinny. And we'll have to start kind of coming in here. Sorry. So you see that we'll have some bearings that go around our some bearings, some lock what do they call those things? Stop locks or something like that. So I've got a hodgepodge of stuff from previous kits, some other stuff that I bought for new kits. Hey, I just found some more M3 heat set inserts that I apparently ordered and didn't realize I did. Sweet. We'll worry about all the electronics later. Battery, receiver, ESC motor, bearings, flange, 8mm flange nuts. That's what we're going to use to mount our tires and stuff in. More heat sets. That's definitely something I needed. And my locking hub pieces. So what I need to do is I need to get a couple more heat sets put in over here. So bear with my apparent schizophrenia here as I do a couple of heat sets. Yeah, that's exactly it, Bearded Printer. I've got the Dragster to get done. Evil Diesel's trying to finish up the KB3D Death Racer, but he needs me to print the treads for it because we're going to try and do some custom treads for it. And I haven't even tested that design out yet, so I'm waiting on some Polymaker that'll be here tomorrow. Files are already sliced and ready to go, and that's why we printed a mount, and I'll be able to run 2 spools of Polymaker TPU, and we'll be able to go straight down into the tool heads on the IDEX. So that's that plan. And then I still have to finish Mist Dragon's Death Racer, and to do that, I've got the front end I need to spray paint or primer, spray primer, sand down, and then paint by hand. We're gonna have to do the same thing to the custom rear end top pieces that are custom designed by Evil Diesel. And then I still have to print the driver body, the head, which was a custom design piece as well that I'm probably gonna have to paint. And then I think like the center console pieces. So yeah, just lots and lots of stuff going on. I'm going to jump over here and do a couple of heat set inserts real fast. Let's see if the overhand camera is going to play with this today. Yeah. So, and in fact, let me do the smart thing so I don't spill these everywhere. We'll put those right there. So once again, these pieces right here, they take 4 M3 and then 4 M4. So I'm going to go through and put the M3s in here and a couple other places. And then I'll come back in, let the iron cool down while we look at what kind of screws and stuff we'll need to assemble this. And we'll come back and get our M4s put in. Power was out all day. That sucks. That would be why you're scared to look in the freezer. Still going through the Big Tree Tech box. They just had a USB AC cable lying loose in packaging. Oh, nice. They had 5 loose cables just laying in there. Awesome. Well, that's good. I'm glad they gave you some spares for whatever reason. So I do have a question for y'all. Because this is a KB3D drag racer, you're seeing a lot of black. Their colors are black and orange, so we're going to do a bunch of black, and we'll do some orange in here as well. I was thinking about doing the whole top outer body in orange, and if we do that in orange, you think that would be good to do it in orange, and then maybe do like just a KB3D logo kind of outlined in black? Trying to think, because the other alternative is do it in black with the KB3D in orange as a multicolor print, but then I kind of go, eh, you know, it just kind of feels like an eh. All right, so we're going to let that cool down so I can swap it over. Meanwhile, I'm trying to see what I've got here. Outer hub. Hide that. The inner hub. Hide that one. And this is kind of what we're seeing. So we've got the locking flange, which are these suckers, going into the printed part, which is why we'll need the M4 inserts. So the M3 connects it to the wheel. Oh, Jesus. And then the M4 connects it to the, got to love Chinese packaging. We put a resealable, you know, we put stuff in a resealable bag, and then we they did a heat seal edge underneath the resealable section of the bag. It was fantastic. I just dropped the gubbins. Or what felt like gubbins. Where did it go? I don't know. Maybe it went back in bag. And by gubbins, I mean a grub screw. So we will have grub screws because that's what's going to lock onto the hubs. These are going to lock into the outer edges. The flanges will lock into the outer edges. So that's going to be where our wheel hubs sit. I can probably put kind of the inner hub in and the flange and stuff, but I won't be able to do the outer hub because the outer hub is going, you know, we're going to have to print the wheel first. Now there's two types of wheels that you can print. You can print ones like I have on mine, which is a plastic inner core with just a, we'll say a tire tread, or you can go with a full TPU print. The only problem is you have to print the TPU prints really slow, and I layer shifted on mine, which means there was a multi-hour print that got thrown away. Pananomi for the P1X1. Gotcha. Hey, Reprinted, how's it going? Hope you're doing well, Pete. Hey, Hetch's Makerspace. Hope everybody's doing well. You mainly print in black and gray? Yeah, I understand. Hey, Britt, how's it going, nerd? Hope you're doing well. We are doing stuff. I don't know what stuff, but we are doing stuff. Okay, I need to put the M4 inserts into these before I am able to kind of move forward. That's sort of cooled off. M4, M4, M4. Yep, M4. Okay. Why is this not fitting on my iRun? M4 is not fitting on my iron. Threads are wrong. Are they for the generic Creality? No. Row. Sorry, folks, bear with me one second as I try and figure out if the other set of ones that I have here will actually work, and I think this one will. Appears to be the right size. Do not know why my CNC kitchen 4mm won't fit. That's really weird. Anyhow, 4mm on there. We'll go ahead and turn that back on. We'll grab 2 parts and my 4mm heat set inserts. I did see you sent me your config files. I have not had an opportunity to look at them. Been kind of busy in and out of meetings all day at work, so I will try and look at them later this evening. Hopefully I get the opportunity to check it out. And I'm doing my normal thing here. I'm going to get these going down about 95% of the way. And then I'll push them the rest of the way up against the edge of my bench. That way they're nice and flush. The other thing you can do is just use the back of a pair of tweezers just to make sure that the edges are flush. I've seen a lot of people go and heat set them in there and then come back with a razor blade to clean up any filament that squished out. The nice thing is when I do it like this, it kind of burnishes that edge and it makes everything nice and flat, and it just pushes that any of the filament that kind of squirted out back down in the grooves. So that's M4s on one. I did get the rest of the treads done for Mrs. Dragon's Death Racer, so I'll be able to get it all threaded up. Like I said, we really have to also start working on the upper panels. How you flash the printer in the first place. So if I remember right, you're going to compile the firmware, and it will drop in as a hex file, and you'll just plug it into the printer on a SD card, and it'll flash. unplug this until I need it again. I think that is the only M4s that I'll need. Yeah, so I'm using a stealth press. And so I just have a soldering iron and I've got the tips. This is one off of Amazon. I really like the CNC Kitchen ones better, but for whatever reason, the threads were too large for this particular soldering iron. And yeah, this works out really well. It really helps in getting a straight up and down heat press. At some point, KB3D Chris is going to respond to me and we will set up to do a build stream together and we'll build a frax. At this point, I'm thinking it's probably not going to happen until after the show season, but we'll see. Now, yes, we got two heat sets, or yeah, not heat sets, grub screws for these. So we'll get some of our chewy bits, aka grub screws. Grab our Loctite. We'll get these prepped and ready to go. Assuming that's a 2mm grub screw, and it is. Get a little bit of Loctite on these. We'll just go ahead and get these started. I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm just going to get them started. My grub screw back. And yeah, a nice flat piece of metal helps to get it all flat. And that's what I'm doing on the side of the bench here. Number one, this is a steel framed bench, which is nice. And then it becomes basically a big heat sink, right? So as I'm pushing it in, one, I'm ensuring that I'm getting it nice and flush to the top edge of the print, but I'm also helping it cool because the heat's getting sucked out of this into the metal bench. So it does help to cool that off a little bit quicker. Now let me there we go. Let me get rid of this camera. And that way you can see what I'm doing a little bit more. Once again, we've got the two end that I did flats on and one right here. Now I did this with an angle grinder. I didn't go very deep when I made these flats. You're basically just doing a set point. And so what you're going to do is put your flange on there and tighten down. And I'm bringing that flange right flush with the bottom there. In fact, you could literally set it down in there just like that. We'll tighten in on the flat first. Turn around and do the other side. Before I put the other one on, I am going to have to put some other pieces in here like locking collars and bearings. Let me get those prepped. We're going to kind of do the same thing. We'll need 2 locking collars at least, right? 1, 2, maybe 3, but at least 2. Locking collars, and the grub screws are not in them, which is always great. And only 1 in each. Oh, that's good. How many do we have here? There's 1 there. Grab this rear piece and make it go wide. One, 2, 3 locking collars. So I actually need a 3rd one of these. Three locking collars. We'll get these prepped and ready as well. All right, sounds good, Waters. Did you have those SB2209 boards there in that order, or were they not there? Okay, so what I see here is if I'm going from the right to the left, because once again, this is going to be that big drive wheel. So I'm going to slip a locking collar down in there. I'm going to need a 608 bearing. So we'll get that out. And these are 608 RS bearings with copious amounts of grease on them. So we'll slide one of those on. Oh, those are not 608s. Are these, you know what? I think these might be the 635s. And I was printing the 608s. Well, that's good. I've got plenty of 608s. Grab a 608, drop it on there. We'll get another one of our locking collars ready. Slide that on. We'll need the 3rd locking collar. And then our other bearing. Now, you probably can't see because I don't have that screen up, so let me bring that screen up. And what I'm doing is building this rear axle basically from the right. So I've installed this flange piece here. Then I'm going to need a locking collar. I know there's a 608 bearing here and another locking collar. So we've got our end flange, a locking collar, the bearing, another locking collar, then a locking collar. We'll need another 608. And I can't tell if there's another. Yeah, that's not a locking collar. That's the, I think that appears to be this. Let me that's the pulley. Yep. There's locking collar. This is going to sit in the groove. And then there's the pulley with the drive belt. So flange, locking collar, bearing, locking collar, bearing. Then we'll have our big boy up here. And when this guy goes in, it's going to lock on that second step that we made, whoops, right here. So that's going to lock in there on one of the locking set screws. And I'm pretty sure that neither of these locking set screws have thread locker on them. So let me put some thread locker. Once again, you'd be surprised at how much torque these things can generate. And you're going to want to have Loctite on these. Right, so that one's on. We'll do the other one. And basically what I'm trying to do is get this prepped so that I can, as soon as I start getting parts back off the printer, I'll be able to install them. So yeah, that'll kind of be our wheel setup there. The other flange over on this side. And I am most likely going to need to put the no, this one will go here. Yeah, I'll have to at least get this on before I can do the others. How does that work? That goes there, this goes here. Yeah. So I do this. The 4mm bolts are going to, I think, go in here and attach here. And then from the front hub, these are going to be 3mm that will attach to the 3mm holes and go all the way through the tire. And that's what holds the tire, the hub, and everything together, because we're going to have screws that go through the hub, through the tire center, and into this piece to make the wheel. And then this is going to slide on and we'll lock it in there. So we're going to need some 4mm. Do we not have, we don't have hardware listed. That's awesome. What do we, I know there's hardware listed. I just don't think there's hardware listed there. These are 2.5mm screws. These are 4mm. Way too long for this. Because this should just be flange in. Let me go grab my other 4mm that I have over here. At least I believe these are 4mm over here. And 4x10. Those are 4x10 and 4x8. I think the 8s will work. So the downside of this is there's just a couple of YouTube videos that go over installing these and building a mount. I'm like, where did this come from? This wasn't part of the printed parts there. So I'm trying to figure out what I need to do to mount these. They're going to be M4 bolts into the M4s, and I really should be using like button heads or something like that versus what I have, which will be flathead socket screws, which are kind of made for countersunk screws is what they are, right? They're your standard countersinks. Probably still work, but definitely want to go with the 10s, not the 8s. One of these I think will be too big. So yeah, like I said, this is going to be a welcome to the inner workings of my mind stream type of thing going on. All right. And these are on the inside, so the fact that these are going to be sitting proud of that flange really isn't going to be an issue. So other than the fact that it's wasted space and I'd much rather have some threads in there, if I had some 4mm button head screws, that would be better to use here. But I don't think I have. Ooh. I just had a thought. Give me 1 second. I may actually have some M4 screws. So for those of you that aren't aware, your power supplies get mounted with M4 screws. So chances are I probably have some M4 screws sitting around here somewhere that are not the flat ones like that. It's just where are they at? So that's what I'm looking for. So if you don't mind, just bear with me momentarily. 5, M5, okay, M5s, M6s, M4x16. Ooh. Question is do these, because 16 is going to be really long. Best bet would be like an M4x12. That would get me full thread engagement. I think the M4s that I have are going to be still the wrong size of M4s that I'm going to want. So I won't keep digging. Just go with what we have for now. And if I need to, I will source some more M4s. Actually, let me just make one quick look. Got so many projects going on here. I've got so many different types of screws. Okay. We're going to go ahead and say we don't have them. We'll go with these. The 16s are going to be way too long. So we'll do these M4s by 12 for now. Say that, and then I go, hey, let me look over here one last place. Nope. Okay. Oh, there's some M4s. They're going to be shorter M4s, but being flat heads, they might actually not be bad. M4 by 6s, actually those probably will be bad. Not going to make it too far down in there. Yeah, I prefer M4 by 10 button heads like this, so I'll go ahead and use the whatchamacallit ones, and then I'll order some M12 button heads, or M4 by 12 button heads. I'd say I'd go grab some from Lowe's, but good Lord, if you buy metric bolts from Lowe's or Home Depot, you're getting like 2 for what you would cost you to get, 50 online. Like I said, what I'm trying to do here is basically just, lay it out, make sure that things are working and laying out nicely. That goes there. I'll still be able to get to the screws to mount this on there. Line up the flat. Kind of do that number. Tighten that one down, tighten this one down. Take this one back off so I can put the edge on, or the piece on this. How's everybody doing tonight? Anybody else starting to freak out? Trying to get ready for Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival? I know Pez Liz probably is. When are you heading out, Liz? Pete's like, yes, yes I am. So many things to do, not enough time. Let me just lay some eyeballs on this real fast. Yeah, so like some M4x8 button heads would work nicely. I mean, these will work, but it'd be nice to have actual, you know, like the, I'll say the correct type of screw for this. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of laid out. Our axle's laid out. We're gonna have, like I said, this will lock at one tower piece. This will lock on the inside of the other. And there's our drive system, or our axle system, I should say. So our rear axle's done. These, once again, are going to kind of go like that for the wheels. I'm gonna have to print the main part of the wheels. I will probably print those next. I think that'll work out better. Then I can kind of mount the whole rear axle as one. The front tires, I need to scrape the brim off of these, and then we'll press fit these on. And this will give us our front tires. Zombie, Glenn, and Kevin and I all arrive Thursday by noon. Okay. I hear tell that there's going to be a dinner Thursday night. I've been asked if I'm going to be there in time, and I'm like, I don't know. I am planning on being there Friday, partly because like I left Colorado because of the altitude does not play well with my body. And so my preference would be not to be up there any longer than I, you know, at altitude than I need to be. You guys do not want to see Dragon in the hospital. At least I don't think you do. No real easy way to get TPU brims off. Try these. So we're going to take our time. In fact, Mrs. Dragon may leave even earlier than me and Evil Diesel just because, you know, she can. But we got to make sure that we've got everything lined up for what she's supposed to take with her. so that we're not stuck and have too much stuff. I meant to talk to Waters to see if he's going or not, because it sounds like Excavate is going to have a presence. Okay, so now these get to go on these. And it's not too bad to get those ones on, right? These go on fairly easily. The bigger ones, yeah, I'm gonna definitely try and go with a lighter wall count, stuff like that, because I was afraid I was gonna break mine beating on them so hard. So these are taking 608 bearings as well. So do I have it? Of course. Don't have any more. Got one RS left, and then the rest are ZZ bearings. So we'll use ZZs up here. So we're going to take our 608, press it down in there. And this piece is going to cover it up, and that's going to hold the bearing in. And we'll do an M3 screw, or 3 M3 screws there. Not going to be those. Those are way too long. Thicker. These should work. And these are going into plastic. So take your time. And I'm going to run this one pretty much all the way through to see. I may have to go down one more size. If you have a list, you need to do laundry. If that's the only thing on your list, Pez, then you're well ahead of the game. I think I might need to go down in size. Yep. Need to go down one size from this one. And let me tell you, cutting threads and carbon fiber PETG kind of heats up the screws just a little bit. Just so you're aware. Two, 4, 5, 6. So this type of project here is a good time to go and get a set of like M3 and M4 screws off of Amazon and just get like the assorted screw pack. This is M3 by 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. So grab one of these and you should be good. Because once again, you can normally go up or down a screw depending. So you've got some type of wiggle room. But with this being PETG carbon fiber 1, it has a beautiful matte finish. So it's not shiny, which normally your PETGs would be shiny. And it's also going to be a little more rigid and robust. My very first Death Racer, I built it using atomic PETG carbon fiber, and it was a beast. Like, first time I ran it, which was like the third time that it had been run, we did the, hey, let's pop our heads off and just keep going and play smash them. It was basically like a demolition derby. And I beat the hell out of that Death Racer, and you wouldn't have really realized that I did. I mean, it barely had scratches on it. My opponents, on the other hand, yeah. And it was all legal because it was carbon fiber PETG. It's legal. Not like I was going through and putting metal in my, a metal blade into my weapon. Please don't do that and take the fun out. So we're going to Loveland, Colorado. And I'm actually going to be staying in a hotel in Longmont because it's graduation weekend. And the hotels in Loveland were like $500 a night. And it'd be great if I was sponsored. I'm not. You're completely ready because you're not going. See, that works. Now I'm sitting here doing this by hand going, wow, this is going to kill my elbow. When I just mentioned that I bought a new Hodo, that would have been nice. Now, once again, we're screwing into plastic and we're cutting threads as we do. So go slow, and as you start to get closer, if you're using an electric driver, stop. Finish it by hand so you can feel when that tension changes and stop. And that's almost the perfect size screw because we're all the way through the printed part, but we're not sitting proud, so we're not going to have a hang up on anything. So we got that done. Let's see about flipping around to the front of this thing. Oh, dear Lord. Home. We're going to kind of do what we just did to the back up here in the front. I'm going to grab this piece and hide it. This is where I was talking. Whoops. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting that on the Windows version, you've got to really, you're scrolling in and out. You guys aren't even seeing what I'm doing. Oh, pro streamer here. Yeah, so you got to kind of scroll in and out with your scroll wheel. It's completely different mechanics than what it's like on a whatchamacallit, a Mac. But this piece right here, this wishbone part of the steering, this is where I was saying that this can't be mounted in the lower frame here until you have your front cover on. So you get your front cover on, then you take your wishbone, which is got holes to go in a specific way, and then you can mount that up from underneath. But you have to have your front panel of your body on first before you can mount this and really get it in there. So what I'm going to do is look at kind of getting the wheel pieces ready. So if I scoot this around, grab the wheel itself, hide it, click on the tire, hide that. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the tire to go bye-bye. All right, so there's the bearing. Is that a double bearing? Can't be. Not on mine. Kind of looks like double bearings, like almost like there's a fat tire on there. Okay, so we've got a adapter piece that goes in because we're using the 608s. I know it probably is showing them. Are they showing both types of wheels on here? Main frame, wing, front axle. Yeah, so I'm going to hide the 635 piece, which was this wheel apparently. Not the whole thing. Hide the why does that say 625 ZZ? Okay, so they're not showing the sweet. Awesome. So I've got a spacer piece in here that goes through the center of the wheel. Okay, so a printed spacer piece that goes through the center of the wheel. There's going to be one of these on each side. And then we'll have a piece on the other side of the wheel. And that's what the screw will go in. And of course I put these on the wrong side. So that goes there. That'll come in from the outside. So the thick spacer comes in from the back side. The thin piece that'll have the bolt goes in from the outside of the wheel. Let me front axle, bring this stuff back. You list the screw. Why do you not list the screw? So I guess with the 635, you would run 2 bearings. I don't know. Seems weird to me, but okay. I wish I could see what kind of screw we were, or the length of the screw that we were using, but apparently I'm going to have to, we'll say, guesstimate. We've got to go through the wheel and into the steering knuckle itself, so the steering arm here. We're going to be coming, how does this go? Seriously? That one. Hide that one. Okay. So kind of our steering arms, which are these L-shaped pieces, are going to go like that, but you have to be careful. They're tapered. They're flat on one side, tapered on the other. The flat side goes out towards the wheel. So what we've got to do is we've got to have a screw that goes the full length or the full width of the wheel, as well as the steering knuckle. And I think this is going to work. So we'll get that there. We're going to just start driving this through. Once again, we're going through plastic. So just like that, that's all the way through. And it's going to screw into our steering knuckle once again on the flat side of the steering knuckle. And it's going to thread into the plastic. I'm going to leave just an ever so slight gap. So there's our steering knuckle installed on the wheel. We'll do the same thing on the other one. And once again, you don't want your bolt to go out the opposite end here. Looking at that and the depth that's there, I can probably go one size higher. I used a M3 by, give me my screw back, thank you. I used an M3 by 20. I'm going to probably go with a 25 and see if this one goes too deep. If it does, then I'll go back to the 20. I'm curious, is there supposed to be a... Yep, no washer, just plastic to plastic. Looks good. Yeah, that's going to stick out a bit. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the 20 instead of the 25. There's a part of me that kind of says, throw a washer between the printed part and this steering knuckle, just to give it something else so it's not plastic on plastic, especially plastic. Oh, hey Daisy, how's it going? Especially not carbon fiber reinforced plastic on carbon fiber reinforced plastic. So I am. I'm going to go over to the 25. I'm going to grab a shim washer. And then I'm going to go ahead and screw this in there. That way, once again, we've got a little bit of a gap between the plastic and the plastic, namely M3 washer. So, locked in, spinning freely. Now with the 25, I did come out just ever so slightly, maybe 2 millimeters. I think we'd still be good with that. I don't see anything that is going to hit. And I'd rather go all the way through the part than not. So I'm going to go ahead and swap this one out. Hey Zombie, how's it going? Meow meow, howdy howdy, doing great. Doing good, Daisy. This is a schizophrenic mind day, basically. I'm trying to put together my drag racer for KB3D as I'm printing parts for it, you know, just in time printing type stuff. And there's no real instructions for this. It's CAD and long format videos that I haven't fully watched yet. So, and I'm just trying to put together the parts that I have done while the other parts finish. And it looks like this one's getting close. At 83%, but it'll be close enough that we'll be able to pop this off and mount our rear axle that we built. So once again, we've got our wheel hub with a 608 bearing, and then this cover cap with 3 M3 by 12 countersunk screws that are going through and holding that bearing captive in place. Then we've got a center spacer here that makes up the hub and a little piece in the front. We're going through that, and that's the adapter for using the 608 bearings. I do have the 625 ZZ or RS bearings. However, I didn't print the right hubs for those. I did the 608s, thinking that's what I had ordered. So here's our 608s, and then here's the steering knuckle. So this will be the right side. This will be the left side as you're facing it. And the front holes on these will be coming off the wishbone. And then, or no, yes, the front holes are going to be going through the wishbone. The rear holes will be going through these arms into the servo, which we can't mount this yet. We can possibly mount these on the wishbones. I don't see why we can't. Once again, we'll figure out what our screw size should be. Those look to be made for button head screws, so we'll grab some button head screws. And M3 button heads, we're not going full depth, and I'm going to throw a washer in between there as well, because I don't want, once again, I don't want to go carbon fiber on carbon fiber. I think we'll use some M3 by 12s. Do some M3 by 12s on here. Let me grab a washer. Once again, anything that's turning and pivoting, I don't want to have plastic on plastic. If it was PETG on PETG, probably not a bad thing, but it's not. It's PETG carbon fiber on PETG carbon fiber. So, which is going to be a little more abrasive. Have I built one yet? Yes, I built one 2 years ago. And yes, I could go down and look at the one I have downstairs probably, because that would make sense. I'm assuming the wishbones are going through. So what I did was I put a washer. Going to go through the wishbone, which it should be, yep. Then I'll put another washer, and then we'll go down into the knuckle itself. And that way it gives us some smoother surfaces to turn on. And this is left side, so we can go into this way. Oh, darn it. Shouldn't be. It should be a 2. Like you don't want it sloppy, but you don't want it really tight either. because then you'll have a problem steering, but you do want a little bit of rotation on it so it can rotate freely. Because if you get it too tight, then it's going to be hard on your servo. That'll work. Definitely make sure that you mount this right. Okay. Yep. This is kind of what we're looking like. Do the other one, same thing. M12, M3x12 button head. We're going to put a washer on. Let's try that again. We'll put a washer on. Then we're going to come through the top of our front wishbone here. We'll put another washer on. Then we can throw our other wheel on here. Once again, we're screwing into plastic. We don't want to go too tight. And we don't want to basically strip out the thread hole. So there's our pivot point for our front wheels. So that'll be good. We got front wheels done. We'll need to mount the servo in the front here, and that's a 9-gram servo, I think, if I remember right. And we definitely, like I said, can't put the steering linkage on there without having a body panel on the front. What am I looking for? My 9-gram servo, which is in here. You built one, haven't you, Zombie? It is so extremely simple. You've got the servo in the front. Let me see if I can hide the body panels. That, come up here. So we've got a servo in the front. It does hang down through the bottom of the body. You don't use any of the arms that come with the servo. You just use the servo itself. And if I remember right, this is going to screw that up, isn't it? Yeah, so the servo's off to one side, so the head side is going towards the front. So this goes in, and you've got to kind of fish the wires down through there. Let me you got to get your wire fish through there and kind of feed your servo down in there. It is a really tight fit and fidgety. Like, I feel like I'm going to bust the wires every time I do this. There we go. And then we're going to screw it down with a screw at the front and back. And I think there should be screws that come with it. Yes. Like hand head or washer head screws. So these little guys. And their Phillips head. Wonderful. Will this work? Should. These are self-tapping screws, so they'll go in, but once again, be careful and don't yank and crank on them. All right, thanks, Zombie. Thank you for the lurk. You just want a snug fit here, and then you're done. Now, if memory serves me right, you see there's a little cutout right here. We're going to take our servo wire, feed it back up, keeping it as straight as possible, and it's going to be guided right down along the side of your servo, just like that. Okay? So you bring your wire up through the hole and route it down one side or the other. It really doesn't matter. We're going to have to put a servo extension to get this all the way to the back anyhow. So for now, we just get it set over there so it's out of the way. And we'll leave that right like that. Okay, so our servo's in place. We've got our front wheel mounts set up. Once again, this is going to set in there just like that. 3 screws from the bottom into the heat set inserts there. And that'll hold our wheels in place, but you have to have that front piece of the shroud in there before you do that. Otherwise, it's not going to work right. So I will need to at least print this front piece. And I think I've kind of decided in my head that I'm going to print it in orange PETG, because I have some and I can start printing those over on the bamboo now. So I'll print those over in orange PETG, and that'll be one less decision to make later. Or at least the front nose may be orange PETG, and then we may go to black and do the KB3D lettering. We'll see. This is going to be the rear motor mount, and this is going to clamp onto the motor like that. We can go ahead and kind of get that set up now. We grab our motor. And if you've built a death racer before, this is going to look pretty close to the same thing. Hey, it's a 550 motor, right? 550 series motor. We've got kind of like banana style connectors on it. That'll work. We're doing 9mm belt here. So we will need a 9mm pulley. I know I'm kind of jumping around between the front and the back here, but also this is what we're going to use to connect the front steering linkage to the servo. Do not put this on yet. Okay? What we need to do is connect our servo up to a servo tester and get it centered. That way the servo is in the center position when we mount this, so we have full motion both sides. The last thing you want to do is find out that when you put your thing on, that the servo is off center and you can't get it straight and trim it straight, and you would wind up taking things back off. So let me set these over there. Let's not do that. That's it. That's begging for me to knock that over and having to clean those up. Okay, so what can we do now? You'll see that our body here is 3 sections. It's actually fairly thin wall and skeletonized. That's why you get a lot of your rigidity from these grid panels, and it's really just 1 or 2 layers thick, right? It's really not that thick of a print, but this adds a lot of structural rigidity to the part, so it keeps them light. So I do have the first 1, 2, 3 sections. I still need to print this section and the cockpit section. The cockpit section, this is where you're seeing the battery at. And then you'll have your ESC, your electronic speed controller with a fan on top of it to keep it cool. That is fairly necessary because if you don't have that, you will burn it out. And I need to get to the other side over here. I have the rear panel out. It's not being shown here. That's actually what's printing right now. And hopefully, as soon as that's done, we'll let it cool down and we'll be able to pop that out and get our rear wheel set up pretty nicely. We need to go ahead and pop our whatchamacallits off and get our rear pulley set up. So pop these out, get them Loctited, get them started back in there, and then we'll mount this on the motor. And the nice thing is we're going to use a 9mm belt, very similar and reminiscent to what we do with a Voron, right? So we'll use a 9mm belt. Why are you not going on? Yep. Tight fit. Neither one of those is in that tight. Thinking I may have a burr on the side of this where they did the screws. That's why it's being a pickle to get on there. Really? There we go. Get it knocked down on there. Go ahead and secure it to the flat first. Get on the other side. And we need to look at the way the mount goes. So this sloped edge is on the left side where your wires are going to be. That allows you to get your motor clamped kind of in this spot where it's got that reinforcement at. Clamp's going to go like that. And we're going to put in 4 screws. We have some M3x12s here, which are going to probably be way the heck too long, but what the hell. I think I'm going to turn this so my wires are kind of, I'll say up and down. because that'll probably make it easier for me to get to things. I've got M312s here. Again, I'm using the button head, so all of my screws are using a single type of driver. It feels like it's going to go down on there nicely. Now, like anything else, you're doing a clamping force on this motor. Do it in a crossing pattern. Make sure that you're applying equal force to this clamp. So with the Death Racer, the intent is to use your bludger, which is your weapon at the back. There's a bludger, which is on a servo that you can swing around. It's on a carbon fiber rod, and it's just a printed end piece. So you would use that to knock your opponent's head off. Or there's a spinning one where you basically have two rods coming out, and it's an actual standard NEMA, I think it's the NEMA 17 pancake motor that is running a spinning disc at the end. Once again, you're trying to knock the driver, the opposing driver's head off. And this is a free-for-all. There's 20 or more people involved in each round of these things normally. But at the end of the show, I'm not sure if they do it on Saturday, but I definitely know on Sunday at the end of the show, if you want to, if you want to, everybody just pops the heads off and, you know, puts the switch on. So in essence, you're not getting killed until you're disabled at that point, right? And so that's basically what we do, is we go until we're disabled. So once again, I'm going in a crossing pattern and making sure that I have equal clampage on this motor. And you'll see that this side here, this seems pretty good. This side here, there's a bit of a gap. So that tells me I'm clamping one way versus the other. So I'm going to loosen this side up just a little bit, which should allow me to do a couple more turns over on this side. Just kind of looking for an equal amount of gap on both sides, without cracking your part or busting your part, because that would be bad. But you want to hold your motor, because the outer casing of the motor, which we just clamped on here, that's the part that stays stationary, and then the center part in there is the part that's turning, right? And then what you'll see here is there's two screws down here at the bottom. These screws are going to come up from the bottom of the rear plate. And what you'll do is you'll move the motor all the way to the back, put your belts on, and then pull it tight, screw it down, and that'll tension your belt. Speaking of belt, before I go too far and block my access to, well, said belt pattern or belt access, like if we put your tires on without having your belt on there, you're going to have a sad day. There's our belt that we're going to use. This is a 240 millimeter closed, 10 millimeter wide belt. This is a 10 millimeter by 240 millimeter closed loop belt. That's going to go right over there. And then once again, this will be able to slide front to back. We'll get it on there. We'll put our screws in. We'll pull it forward to keep it tight. And we'll screw those screws down. And now we've got our drive tension set. You don't do that, of course, until you've got your bearings sitting in there and your motor's mounted. Or your bearings mounted. So, as soon as this is done, we can go. We're at 96%. So let that get done. It'll cool down. We can go ahead and install that. I don't need these anymore. I don't need these anymore. I don't need the belt anymore. So I've got 2 more drive pulley sets. I'm going to say I've got 1 more servo in here. Yeah, I've got plenty of these style servos. They're the same servos that you use in whatchamacallit, ERCFAs. So I can take these, put them back in the box, and we'll have spares for yet another day. Either spares or the ability to build more down the road. Because who knows? Echovate may go, hey, will you build me one? And I'll be like, sure. It is a blast. If you go out to Polymaker Discord, I believe they still have several videos up from years past of the shenanigans that go on at these Rep Rat festivals, to include the just all out go and tear these things up. I have the front wings. Once again, you can't install the front wing until you got the body panel on. So I need to start printing body panels. And honestly, you know what? I may just do a multicolor print for the body panels, because I've got black and orange standard PETG, so it'll be a little bit shinier. You know, leave the reinforcing underneath. The body panels are really thin. They're like literally 2 walls. So that works out pretty well. Come on, finish up. Like, does anybody else just like sit there and look when a print's almost done, when you're waiting for it, and you're like, come on, now cool off. I need to pull you off. The rear wings, so I've got 2 of the front wings printed in TPU. I don't have the rear wings printed in TPU. So I still need to print 2 of these. I'm going to use the, I've got 2 spools, so 1.5 kilos of Polymaker black TPU 95A coming in. Once that's here, I'll be able to start doing the treads for KB3D's Death Racer with 1 spool. The other spool, I'll start doing the wings. So yeah, I'm gonna have to dry it though, because it's just a lot easier if you've got dried. Never trust that your TPU that you just took out of the package has not absorbed any moisture. I guarantee you it would have absorbed any moisture that was still in the bag, even from the desiccant pack that is in the bag. Yeah, I figured I would put a bigger dent in this. I might have to may print another full body set if I've got the time, just to have a spare in case one of the bodies cracks, or have a set of spares. I still got to do 2 more body panels. So one of the body panels, or one of the body parts here, oops, not that view, this view. So this particular piece right here, you've got the roll cage in it. I know somebody has modified it to take this part of the roll cage out and just left this part. This used to be separate prints as well, and then they made it all one body part, which works. But there's a part of me that's like, oh, I want to throw supports on it so that it prints nice. Yeah, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. Especially not with a carbon fiber. It, of course, don't come off as clean with carbon fiber. And yeah, they just won't come out very nice. So the other thing you'll notice here, let me pull in. So you've got this rear deck piece, and then you've got these clamps that go over the top. That rear piece and these clamps are printing right now. And then you'll have these wing towers. So it goes through the wing tower, through the clamp, down into the base. So we're going to have to add a few more heat set inserts in here. And then I can mount it for now, but we'll have to take them back out to put the wing struts in it. I do have some wing struts printed. I think they're in carbon fiber PLA, actually. This is what those wing struts look like. And one side will get, this side will get heat set inserts in it for the wing itself to mount down onto the strut. And then this is the side that goes down through the clamps and clamps your axle bearings in place. So I may just go ahead and fit these on there just for now, because I'll reprint these in the PETG PLA, or I'm sorry, the PETG carbon fiber, and this could be a spare set in the PLA for my chassis. Basically, all the extra parts I have there, I'll take just in case we break something. Did I lose a bunch of people or what? Got kind of quiet. Like I said, we still got to do some Death Racer stuff. I've got a couple of extra links made that I can hammer in while I'm waiting for this to finish. And I literally have to hammer them in through the TPU, which is good. I mean, you don't want them to be loose. But where's my rods? Here's the other rods I cut. I need to add, I think it was 2 more links to the one track. And then I can secure one of them on there, and I still need to go cut another rod. So on your TPU, there's one side that you can see the rods through. You want that facing out, so if you need to do any repairs and maintenance, you can get to them. The other side, it's it's completely closed. So you want this side facing the inside of your death racer and the other side facing out. And what I'm going to do is just try and get these last two pieces hammered in. I'll do that over here on the on my stool. See if I can do this without knocking everything all over the place in the process. All right, there we go. And you might be able to get it pushed through, but it's kind of a booger. That's why I say use a hammer. Tap, tap, tap lightly. And as it's going in, just make sure that you're keeping the alignment. And then continue to tap it in there. Keeping the alignment. Tap it in. And so I missed that one completely. So I have to push that back out and give it a try again. And be careful. Because if you're not, you will hurt yourself on these things. It's still twisted. Why is it like twisting out of the way? Got you that time. And there's another link in the chain. And these are all TPU treads. Now the fun part comes when you go to do the very last one, because you have no choice. You can't hammer it in because it's on the death racer at that point. So you have to kind of just massage it through there. I would suggest having something flat, maybe heavy, that you can use to push the rod in, rather than your finger, because your finger is a little bit soft and squishy compared to this 3mm stainless steel rod. Just take your time, work it in there, go slow. And there we go. We've got all 32 segments are now in there. And I'll be able to set this on the track, wrap it around, and do the interlink. Now, there's two ways that you could do this. You can actually loosen the drive wheels and like set it on there and then reattach the drive wheels, or you can kind of do like what I'm going to do here. Set your tracks down, set your tracks down, set your wheels on the tracks. Make sure they wrap around nicely. And I'm going to have a bit of a gap here, but that's fine. We can stretch that just like that, and we'll drive our last pin. And this one, if I do it that way, is going to be on the inside, and I don't want it on the inside, I want it on the outside. So take this, flip it around, lay it in those tracks, give it a little tug. Is where having something that you can tap, 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 or push with will help as you're trying to get this through that last segment. Keep it lined up. Might be easier to kind of do it near a wheel. That should help keep it lined up. Okay, so we have one track fully on now. The other track is there. I just need to cut one more pin. I cut myself short one pin. So once again, we'll bring that one in from this side, which means we'll take this and spin it around. This fan, this is the front side of our Death Racer. This will be the rear side. Our motor wires are coming up right here. I have installed the bottom plate. I'll have to take it back off and like mount the battery pack and all that good stuff in it. But Wyatt, I'm sorry, I can't put everything into sound. So once again, I'll kind of pull this up like this, hold these two treads tight, drive in that last peg, and then we'll have both, we'll basically have our Death Racer base technically done. There are side panels that you can mount. We will be doing that. It'll add some decoration. The plan is to do like it's an oval shape, as you can see, and the side panel that we're wanting to do is going to have some translucent pieces, aka I want to use Capricorn. I think it's Capricorn Firefly filament, and if we can do it, we'll add a little bit of lighting in here just to backlight those translucent pieces, because it'll be like the wing of a dragonfly, because that's the theme of Mrs. Dragon's Death Racer. Well, we got one tread on. The only thing preventing me from putting the other tread on is the need to go down and death wheel a a piece of rod to like 55-ish millimeters, I think it is. So we're getting close, at least having a rolling base. And like I said, the front section here which will mount on there like this. I needed him to cut that out. He didn't, so I've got to take the fan back off so that I can get it. But this will mount like this. There will be 2 heat sets here that are going to come up from underneath, which is why I've got to take that center bottom piece out so I can get to those. But this is going to be her front. So this is a dragonfly front. So I'm going to have to, this is printed in Elegoo Gray PLA. I'm going to lightly sand it down some, spray paint it with some primer, and then I'll paint it by hand. We've got the little grill area here to let some air in. And because he left this bottom deck here, it's still hitting on the bottom side of that fan. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to take this fan off and maybe figure out some other way to mount it on here, maybe VHB tape on 2 sides so that it'll sit up a little bit higher, but I can get this all the way on. I can't complain too much. I mean, he is my design guy. He does all the design work. And who's he? He is Evil the Diesel. Evil Diesel 3D. Hey, Tugboat, how's it going? We're having fun. We're building dragster parts. And we're building dragster parts in carbon fiber PETG. So this is Polymaker Fiberon. So this is their PETG recycled 8% carbon fiber blend. I've got a couple of the 3 kilo spools here. So this is what we're printing it out of, and it's coming out beautiful. That's where I caught it with the edge as I was taking off the skirt. But this is the first 3 lengths of the body here. We've got our servo end. We've got our front wheels put together, right? So this will mount right there. And we'll have our steering arms to the servo. We can't install the front wheels until we get at least the first section of body panel on, because this comes down through the top and screws up from the bottom. So I have to print at least the first section of body panel in order to be able to finish out the steering on this. Kind of cool. The wheels are self-aligning right now anyhow. I've got the rear axle built. This is a 10 millimeter wide by 240 millimeter closed loop belt that we're going to be using as the drive. There's also a direct drive option that you can do. It is pretty reasonably priced. I mean, the 3 kilo spool is like I think it's like $110, which really isn't that bad of a price. It really isn't that bad of a price. We're gonna go ahead and open the door. It'll make a little bit more noise, but it'll help cool this off a little bit quicker. I do have the fins or the exhaust open. I could also open the lid up, fully let that air get out of there so things cool down a little bit quicker. I'm not worried about it warping the part. These parts have been rock solid. And that's the nice thing with carbon fiber is they're going to hold their shape. In fact, how about I just do that? Pull this out. So once again, our axle bearings are going to sit right down in here. We'll have our locking clips, and that's going to help set that gap. Our motor is going to mount right there. So like I said, we'll be able to get the motor on there, get our belt lined up, come in underneath, get the screws started, pull it taut, and finish off the screws. And we've got the clamps that go on the top of our bearing stack there. So there's going to be the back end of the drag racer. Then I just need to do the other two middle parts and we'll be ready to go. There's really not a lot to this drag racer. You know, we've got the wings. Yes, we got to do the wings. I'm going to print the wings. I've got some TPU coming in. My thought is going to be to print the body panels in, rather than keep it really all black, I'm going to do the back body panels in orange. Not back, the body panels in orange. What am I looking for? And then do some black lettering for KB3D, do the outline of the letters for KB3D on it. So it'll kind of be like a reverse call out of their, let's say this stuff sticks really, really well to this plate. Keep telling myself, hey, put some glue stick down. I have yet to do it. Just keep bringing the scraper out and scraping off the skirts. The slicer is doing the skirts by default because it's a large flat piece. It's doing brim to reduce any chance of warpage of the part. Just get right under the edge. Boom, that pops off. Build plate's clean. Now we can go ahead and do the next part. Now that I'm sitting here, I'll probably, I want to do something that doesn't take a long amount of time. That way I can come in and run an overnight print later. I don't want to do something that's 4 hours because I'll be asleep before it finishes and then I'm wasting print overnight time. So I'll do something that, I'll do the uprights, which will take like an hour. And then we'll come back and do something else. Is that the one? Oh, I was like, what is that? Yeah, we'll do the uprights. That'll take like an hour. And while we're waiting for that, we can go ahead and start putting this together with our rear ensemble. Once again, we'll take our bearings and just get them laid in there. And we've got to figure out the, make sure that everything's the right distance and lined up. We'll get that in there. We'll get our motor in. Is there actually, what size? That's right, they have no screws on there. Actually, the 12s will probably work just fine. Got to take this off because I need to put these come down from the top, so I got to put heat set inserts in the bottom here and on a couple of places on the side so that the body panels have something to go on to. So let me get some heat sets in here first. Then we'll worry about mounting some stuff up. Now this is definitely looking like M3s, so these will be M3s in the bottom. And I know there are M3s on the side panels, so let me get these going. I'll flip you over to the overhead. And this is M4. We'll pop this back off, or M3 back in. How's it going, Jedi Spidey? Hope you're doing well. And Tugboat, I hope you guys are doing well. Are you guys ready for the show? Put in the craptastic. You're not going to Rocky Mountain, are you, Jedi Spidey? Okay, locking collars. I don't need these anymore, but they'll go over here with the rest of the collars. All right, we need to put some heat sets in here. Put in here to get them out of the way. Yeah, I'm kind of like in scatterbrain mode, trying to get ready for the show just with everything. So that's why you're seeing me work on the or the dragster, then going to a death racer, then coming back to the dragster as things are finishing, and yeah. You're not? It'd be cool if you were. It's an amazing show. I was talking with Brecor, who's the main team member that runs it, and they said that they had over 4,000 people registered. The venue is 16,000 square feet. A ton of vendors and lots of makers. I will be there. And then the week we get back, that next weekend after the show, we'll be doing the next maker meetup at Ecovate. So hopefully I get to see you there. And I have a feeling I'm just going to say, hey, like open to close. We'll be here all day type of thing. I was trying to do the morning and evening times. I think we're just going to be there the whole time. Just makes for a fun day. We'll just do the whole thing. Especially if they can get the, once they get the, they're going to have a creator space that they're going to put in that Fabrico is sponsoring. And as soon as they have that, I'll be able to actually stream from the store, me and others. So maybe we'll actually stream some part of the maker meetup. walk around and have people actually talk on stream about their stuff. You have a maker table. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to have a maker table. I'm going to try to get over by KB3D. I'm building a box turtle during the show, which I know Mrs. Dragon, she was the one that actually proposed the idea, and it's, yeah, that's a darn good idea. Now, doing these ones in the bottom is the difficult ones. They're sunken down in there. So this is where I normally, you have to try and do your best to be straight up and down, and also not melt the plastic around your heat sets either. But that's okay. If you do, I mean, it's the underside. People aren't going to notice. And there's two that go in the back. What goes onto the back of it? Are there actually like wheelie bars? All right, where's the part that I have? Drive assembly, ESC controller. Sorry, I'm looking at the got one part of the frame that's hidden. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. So the part that we're working on right now is this main body frame part right here. And what I need to do is figure out, there's two holes back here, and I don't know if we need to actually put anything in them. Oh yeah, there's holes. That's great. Don't know, like I said, if ooh. Ah, I got you. Yes. So nothing goes in these holes, but something needs to go down in these holes here. Why the hell would you put M3s there? So what you would do is you'd put M3s there, and you can basically use those to ram in and hold your you're basically able to come in here with a screwdriver and drive this down to get more tension and have something other than just the clamping bolts at the bottom to hold you up. The problem is there's no clean or easy way to get to these screws. You would literally have to do a long screw, kind of heat up the heat set insert, and then press it down in there. What is the longest M3 screw that I have, and will they be long enough? Nope. I don't know. That doesn't make too much sense to me. And I don't remember ever putting those in there on mine anyhow, but these two spots right here. A little bit bigger. Two spots right here. You would get to them through these holes to screw in screws that would push your motor forward. I don't remember doing it. I'm going to go ahead and install these without it. And I'm trying to think, is there a measurement of what these wheels should be? Hide that. Hide that. Okay, so there's our shaft. What I'm going to want to do is measure from this shaft, preferably to our bearing face, but I'll probably go from like this shaft to the locking collar, and we'll do some maths here. Where's measure tool? I want to measure from that face to that face. That is 46.1 millimeters. That's fabulous. Let's get rid of that. Let's grab this locking collar. I'm going to hide the locking collar. Yes. So now let me try and measure from the edge to the bearing face. 53 millimeters. Let's do some quick gandering. Hey, Killer Prince, how's it going? Oh, dude, you're fine. I am in the process of trying. That just doesn't seem right. Okay, so I'm roughly 50 between the edge of this flange and the inside, or the outer edge of the bearing. If I come over here, I am about 45, so I need to slide this way ever so slightly. Way too much. Maybe not. 47. All right, that looks to be centered now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in place and lock the inside lock. Do the same thing on this side. So that's going to keep that spacing. I can verify it again. This is a 3 kilogram spool, and it is it is carbon fiber PETG. It's the carbon fiber recycled 8% PETG, or 8% recycled carbon fiber PETG. Yeah. And it's what we are building the body, or the frame and stuff of our dragster out of. So all of this is that carbon fiber reinforced PETG. So the frame's going to be light and really, really strong. The body panels, which are just cosmetic, are going to be, I think I've decided I'm going to make them just standard PETG. To get that kind of sat in there. Flip this over, we'll put some 12mm screws with a washer on it. Keep knocking my duckies down. But yeah, it prints awesome. Saying that gives you the vapors. What do you mean by that? I'm just getting these started. How goes? Oh, gotcha. How goes the rat rig build? You should be. Are you close to being done? Okay, so I've got these on there. That motor can still slide right now. I'm going to slide it all the way to the back. I will get my, get my drive axle back on here again. All the way to the back. Ugh. And this is off, but we can adjust this, no worries, because it is at an angle, so we need to move this back over some. And is it, might be a 2.5. Like anything, we want to get the fully lined up so that our belt's not walking weird. Just like a printer. And I think these wind up being something stupid like M3 by 50s. Don't ask me why I just grabbed 2 instead of 4. I'm just going to put these on for now until my wings are done. But this will let me set my motor and stuff. Did Tech Jeeper sneak in? Hey, thanks for the subscribe, Killer Prince. Thanks for the subscribe. Yeah, this Fiberon PETG, I actually have 2 of these spools, so, and it's printing beautifully. Like I said, I'm just doing this to keep the axle from falling out while I tighten the motor. Then I'll pop these back off when the uprights for the wing are done. And this motor slides forward to tension. And then I'll just tighten these bolts. And those screws are going all the way through here and tying into these 4 heat press inserts at the bottom. And I put washers underneath this so that it slides a little bit easier. And now we've got our tension on our belt. So, whoop, pretty well tensioned there. And then these will loop back in and around and go into our ESC and stuff. I'm still printing out body panels. I've got the cockpit and one more, not body panels, frame panel. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the orange PETG and start printing body panels. I also want to say that all of the panels for my box turtle build are done. So I am going to be building a box turtle at Rocky Mountain. Jason's going to provide the box turtle for me to build. I'm going to take it back and he's going to give it away as a fully assembled box turtle. We've got it's going to be a space gray frame. And this is the Sparkle Turtle Green and the Turtle Gold LDO ABS. For the drag racer, it's going to be orange and black. And it's orange and black because it's for KB3D. So we've got all the parts for the box turtle. We've got a dragster for KB3D. We've got a death racer for KB3D. We've got a death racer for Mrs. Dragon that we're going to do. What else? What else? What else? I don't know. I can't think right now. Got our death race, so we're bringing 3 death racers, 2 dragsters, because I have my dragster and KB3D's dragster. I need to still reprint or print 2 rear wings, one for mine and one for KB3D's, because they require us to use TPU on the wings, because they had so many off-track excursions last year. These are going to be the hubs for the rear wheels. I'm doing the fatties. So I need to print the rear wheels, and I haven't decided if I'm going to do like full TPU printed rear wheels, or if I'm going to do, oh, what am I thinking of? You know, like plastic inners with just rubber on the outside or TPU on the outside, which is what I did for mine. I think that's what I'm going to do, just because it uses less TPU and I can print the internal plastic ones a lot faster. Yeah, uncontrolled lane departures. A couple of them were on purpose. Like, I do know that Justin did accelerate swiftly back up and over the top of Scott's dragster. But like I said, at the end of the show, it's like, okay, Death Racer time, pop the heads off, flip the switches on, and run them till you burn the electronics, and last one standing wins. Which is always cool. The ESC, so I'm getting ready to mount this on the back side of the rat rig. I'll mount this and I'll be able to run 2 spools of TPU because we're going to try and do some multicolor TPU treads for KB3D's build. Because, you know, why not? We've got our ESC here. Oh, darn it. And I got to remember, if I've got to, I may have to cut these ends and resolder them. I can't remember. I guess if I went down and looked at mine, it would help. So, Killer, have you built a Death Racer or a Drag Racer? And if not, why not? So this is a 1060 brush electronic speed controller, so it's a 60 amp. Same thing that I run on mine. Works well. That's nice packaging. Oh, what do we got? That. And I don't think I need that XT60 connector. Oh, I know why. So it comes with a so I believe these two run to the motor, and if I remember right, this one is used to charge. If you're using this style connector, that's great. If not, then you cut this off and put the XT60 on. I'll have to see how I have mine done up. Yes. Yeah. Let me set that there. I'm gonna run downstairs. I'll be right back. I'm actually gonna go grab my dragster and bring it up. So I'll be right back. I'm sorry. Darn it. So, as I was saying, this is the top fuel dragster in all of its glory. My plan was to print a new body every year and put stickers on it from the show, right? Because, you know, top fuel dragsters and everything, they've got their sponsors all over it and stuff. That was kind of the thought. Sorry, apparently I've got that thing on tracking again. I don't know why. Stop tracking. Okay, so what you'll see is this is the cockpit. This pops straight off. Magnets. Apparently that magnet decided it wanted to come with it. You'll have a your battery. The on-off switch is just kind of sitting there. The ESC, once again, blue and yellow go back to the motor. The other two I've got connected to an XT60 because that's what we needed for the battery. So that's what we're going to have to do is cut the other end off and solder on the XT60 for the battery. There's our ESC. I'm going to make sure and match up, because it's the same thing as mine, I'll match up the, whatchamacallits, the jumpers, maybe. I pulled the housing, the plastic housing, off the flippin' jumper. Like, are you serious? First time that's ever happened. That's weird. But go back in. Huh. Okay, so kind of hard to see. But on these jumpers, there's two sets of jumpers. The one closest to the servo wire and the off switch. So this one over on this side tells if it's on the left 2 pins, it's running a LiPo. If it's on the middle and the right pin, it's running a nickel metal hydride. So it's just which type of battery is it running. The one on the back side here is me having to get my old person's eyes out, because they write things microscopically. It is FBR, FB, or FR. So all the way on the left and center pin, it's FBR mode. If it's on the right, the center and the right pin, it's FB mode. If you have nothing, it's FR mode. What those mean, I have no clue. Now, our ESC somewhere in this vicinity. Here's our wire. We need to run a servo extension all the way down to probably about right here, where we can connect in with the servo at the front for steering. So I know I have these wires. If I need to, I can create one. That's not a big deal. But I should have a couple more of these around. On the on-off switch, I'm surprised we don't have some way of like mounting it so you can easily flip it on and off. So that's a little weird. Battery. Our battery is a Huvo high discharge LiPo battery. Huvo. Product manual, probably a good thing to look at and read. Maybe. Yes. And that's where our XT60 connector comes in. So that's why we're going to have to take off this connector and switch it to XT60 so that we can pull power from our LiPo. And then there's the charging plug and stuff, so, or management for the charging. And I'm probably going to have to get with Evil Diesel and basically just give this to him and tell him to charge it so that we can test. Probably pull mine and give it to him as well, because I know he has the charger. I don't have the charger. Yeah, OBS, for whatever reason, it just decides to go into, well, I talk with my hands, and there's a specific hand gesture you can do that it picks up on, and then it starts tracking. And I just said the word tracking, and it actually started beeping at me, so, or not beeping, but the light flashed at me. So for all I know, I just said a keyword, and it picked up and started. So, somebody's going to do a drop. Yeah, there's our battery. There's our we'll grab the user manual and all this stuff and take it to KB3D. Get in there. There we go. You there, you there. That closes up. This closes up. Throw those in there. We've got the transmitter as well. The transmitter is a relatively standard, actually not relatively, it is a standard like wheel drive, fairly cheap thing. RC4GS Radio Link. This is a 5-channel digital 2.4 gig system. The 5-channel programmable dual mix control, 400-meter ground distance, 30 model storage, cruise control system, gyro integrated and high voltage servo supported, timer and FPV head track function. Interesting. FS self-setting, customizable gyro sensitivity, blah, blah, blah. So this is the recommended type or style of receiver for them. And I believe I bought this because it's the same one I have for mine. So basically I looked at the BOM and I said, I need battery, speed controller, yada, 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 and I just grabbed the same thing that I bought when I did mine. So hopefully I'll have this ready to go by the end of the week, and I'll probably have Evil Diesel come over and set up the radio for it, because he set up the one for mine, and I'll just have him set up the radios and we'll test things out. Who knows, maybe we'll run them down the street together. When I did my rear wheels here, I did them with fuzzy skin. So I figured fuzzy skin would probably give it a little bit more traction. I may just go with slicks. And I believe I'm going to try the Creality 85. So I got some Creality 85A that I'm probably going to use on KB3Ds. This is the 95, a TPU from Polymaker. So, hey, thanks for the lurk, Tugboat. And yeah, I just verified I did not put the heat sets in the rear of this one either. But yeah, really, really, really simple design. It's just, you know, I need to take the front wing off here. Probably do that now. Need to take the front wing off and put the TPU wing on. And then I need to do the same thing and take this wing off the back and put a TPU flavor on. Because they had too many off-track excursions. And there's two underneath and one that comes in from the front. Well, maybe if I can get my driver on it. Still need to print the two rear wings. And of course I put stickers over the screw holes, so I'm going to have to tear up my stickers to get the screws out. That came off pretty easily. See if that'll stick to the TPU one. Of course, that's a there we go. We're at least partially compliant. We now have our TPU front wing on. Don't need to do a like I said, print the two TPU rear wings, but yeah, we're going to be, like I said, we'll be bringing 3 death racers, 2 drag racers, the box turtle to build. I'm not going to have too many printers on my table. I may bring a bunch of the smaller printers, and if that will, probably not. Didn't stop, did it? Why? Stop. Hey there. Hi there. Oh there. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. Stop not working? Ooh, drop might not work on that screen. Should work on this screen. Yeah, once again, we're going to have to make sure that this is fully charged up before we get going. We're going to have to swap this connector for this connector. These are a pain in the butt to do, but we will get it done. Flux will help. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the wings. I'll take this out one at a time and I'll mount the upright wings on this. And then probably what I'll do is the rear wheels and get those going. I've got the RMRRF on hand now so I can start doing the rubber bands for the wheel, the main wheel hubs. Yeah, I think we made good progress tonight. 9 o'clock. I'm gonna try and, I don't know, do this thing like adult and try and go to bed early for a change. I've got to get up in the morning and drive into the office. And when I do so, I'm going to stop and meet somebody for some coffee along the way. I think I'm just going to leave all this stuff sitting here. Because why not? As soon as this part's done and cools off enough, I'll pop it out and get started on the next print. And yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at for now, folks. I don't have much more I can work on. I either need to print or I need to cut some things and do a lot more printing. Oh, killer. Looky what came in. Let me get that off. I had a couple of small packages show up. I hope you feel better, Petty. So these are the Kraken motors by RMRRRF. These are some beefy boys. I did get the D shafts. I think these are the 37mm long ones. Again, Kraken motors. Focus. There we go. You've got your standard 4-wire for the motor, but you also have thermistor wires. So you'll actually have temperature control, or not control, but monitoring on your motors. As long as you've got the outputs to track it, you'll have the ability to track your temperatures on your motors. That's kind of cool. We've got 2 of these. These are going to be for the rebuild of the 0G Mercury 1, which will happen, I don't know, well, darn it, sometime later. Will be, as you know, we just finished the, God, words on stream sometimes. We just finished the Trident rebuild. We still have some work to do on it, like tuning, because it prints, but I mean it pushes plastic. It just doesn't push it well and reliably at the moment. But we're getting there. We're making progress on it. And I just need to get it back up on the bench or on the table somewhere so that we can work on the tuning of it. I told Mrs. Dragon, as soon as I take the 2.4 off the table, to take it down to Echovate, which might just be tomorrow. I'll take the Trident and put it downstairs on the kitchen table or on the dining room table. She loves me for that. But that will give me a place where I can tune on it a little bit. And then once I get a few things situated, it'll come back off the table and we'll put it somewhere. Probably move the Anycubic back up. Thought you were going to say push it real good. No. It does push, but I posted the picture. We got a lot of tuning to do still. She's a little rough around the edges. Now this is a 0.4 layer height and 1 millimeter layer width. We did get a little bit of a layer shift there, but I was still playing around with the printer at that point. I need to still work on, now that we've put a little bit on it, I need to properly tension the belts, do flow control or flow calibration, flow calibration, input shaping, pressure advance, you know, the whole 9 yards on it. Well, that's the problem. I've already taken over the dining room table. There have been printers on the dining room table since RMRRF last year. She spent a lot of time going back and forth to Colorado last year, and I put things over there. And there was a period of time where she came back and she could use the table, and then she went back out to Colorado, and from there on, I just took over the table, which she's not necessarily happy about. But I'm still alive. She still comes out and makes sure that I don't bring printers home. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start getting the wheels printed out. I think I'm going to do that next. Then once I get the wheels done and I get the TPU 95 in, which should be in tomorrow, I'll go ahead and start trying some shenanigans over on the rat rig. Yeah, just my second home in Echovate. Yeah, definitely. I've got a few printers to work on over at Echovate as well. We got the Optimus P1 that we still need to work on. I'm gonna try and redesign an entire tool head and maybe pick up some parts for that out at Rocky Mountain. The Raise 3D, like 2 Pro or whatever, needs some work. And then we have that monstrosity that showed up on Saturday. Good to have printers in places you don't eat. No, Pez, I eat there as well. There's a wing place like 2 doors down, so I go over and get wings when I'm hanging out there. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and find a place to raid out. Because like I said, I'm pretty much at a stopping point on things I can do tonight until I get some more parts printed. So I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for this evening. We'll raid out somewhere and then we'll come back and re-engage tomorrow, probably, maybe. Maybe we'll give it a day off and I'll just go down to Echovate and do some things down there. But But yeah, let me see who's up and running. Oh yeah, not a problem, Von Deathheart. Okay, so who is up and running? Liz apparently is not because she's hanging out with us. I say that she's hanging out in probably 8 different streams is what she's doing. Holy cow. Yano's not on. What's up with that? If you guys are into it, we have Astro Canuck. We've got who did I just see? Profit DNA. We haven't been over to see Mr. and Mrs. Profit in a while. They are definitely an 18 and over stream. Astro Canuck looks like he's doing Star Wars Lego stuff. A few people that are playing games. The Jang's doing Luma Bricks, Cyberpunk, Zox. I don't know. He's doing some bricks, brick building. Hey, thanks for the follow, Agromagnet. Welcome on in. We are actually getting ready to raid out somewhere. Trying to figure out where right now. But yeah, we've been going for a little bit. I'm getting into the stage of streaming more often because we're coming up to the show, and I figure I'm going to be working on stuff anyhow, so I might as well. I might as well bring everybody along for the journey. So with that said, thank you for being here. We made some good progress on getting the rear drive section of our drag racer going. We got the front started to be put together, and as I get parts printed, I'll continue to get things done. But right now, Pez saying hi to Jedi Spidey. Right now, we're going to raid over to Astro Canuck and see how he's doing tonight. And I'm going to go grab some dinner and try and reconfigure some things so I could dig my work laptop out since I'm going to be going into the office. Who knows, maybe carry a printer out to the car tonight. So thank you all for being here. You guys are great. You make this whole thing wonderful and give me somebody to talk to while I'm just tinkering around, trying to stay on track and get stuff done for the show. But thank you everybody for being here. I will see you guys on Thursday. May pop stream tomorrow, I don't know, but Thursday definitely. See everybody. Bye. And for those of you that are watching this over on YouTube, thank you as well for sticking around and watching this to the end. If you like what you see in the projects that I do, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button down below. When you subscribe, be sure to check that bell so that you get notified of future videos when they become available. There should be another video popping up suggested by YouTube over here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye now.